dear Louise, National Officer of the National Education Union and supporter of the Freedom for Ocalan Campaign. Thanks for joining us today.
No problem. It's very good to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. So you have also participated in the last Congress of the NEU. So let's start with Abdullah Öcalan's situation. He has been held in isolation in prison 24 years now. He has been denied visits from his family and lawyers. There are now concerns about Öcalan's health. Can you comment on this treatment first of all?
I mean, obviously, you know, as a union, we are against all sort of forms of human rights abuses, and this is clearly a human rights abuse. He's been imprisoned. He hasn't been allowed reasonable access to his family or friends. People are not allowed to see him and check on his health and welfare. And as you rightly point out, there are now significant concerns around his health. And whether he is getting treatment for that. And obviously, we are really concerned about that in the trade union movement. I think that there should be international pressure on the Turkish government for him to be released.
Thank you. Many people saying that isolation is a torture. As you know, the European Committee, the CPT, has criticized the treatment of Mr. Abdullah Öcalan by the Turkish authorities as well. So do you think that there is a willingness and ability in Europe and to intervene with the Turkish government to address the treatment of Mr. Abdullah Öcalan?
I mean, I think we should be calling out that treatment. I think isolation has been deemed as a form of torture, and you know, Öcalan has been treated to that for a long period, and we should be calling it what it is, which is a form of torture, and government should be putting pressure on for his release and for an end to that sort of treatment of him, and we would absolutely support calls for that.
Thank you. Can you tell us about the NEU's, National Education Union's support and solidarity with Öcalan? How was the atmosphere on the salon, on the moment of when Öcalan's posters held by the delegates in there?
Yeah, it was a very powerful moment. I mean, the National Education Union has a long commitment, and its predecessor union, to international solidarity. So we have always been committed to calling out injustices across the globe. We know that, you know, we need to stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters across the world if we want a better world for everyone. But I came back in after lunch, actually, and all the posters had been put on the seats. We had 1,250 delegates, and so I just came back into a hall with seats covered in Öcalan, the posters that you can see behind me, and then it was very empowering to see people holding that up and then calling for his freedom. So, you know, it's really good that we have spread that message amongst our delegates that are there, but obviously, you know, we need to make sure we're spreading that message wider as well. So taking that message back to our districts so that they are raising awareness as well.
And EU, on its annual Congress this year, also made a call, Freedom for Öcalan. How important do you think is the support of UK's trade unions to Öcalan and for the Kurds as well? How meaningful is that, do you think?
I think it's essential. I think trade unions do a huge amount of work around international solidarity and speaking out against injustice. As I say, we've been very proud to be part of this campaign for a long time, alongside our sister trade unions such as Unite, and we will continue to work with them, not only to ensure that people are signed up to the campaign and are spreading the word, but also that we are putting pressure on our governments, but also, you know, through our other channels such as ETUCE and EI, Education International, so that we are raising it with other trade unions in the international trade union movement, because I think we need coordinated pressure. This is not something new. This has been going on for a significant amount of time, and we have to really increase the pressure, I think.
Thank you. I would like to also talk about some plans for the future as well, because now the Freedom for Ocalan campaign has 16 biggest trade unions in UK as a supporter. So is there any realistic plan of the NEU to support the Freedom for Ocalan campaign, and what else needs to be done in order to break the silence of Western countries about isolation on Öcalan?
I think, as I say, I mean, obviously we support the campaign and will continue to do that. I think what we need to do as a union really is to start raising that more widely amongst our wider membership. So obviously, if you're involved in our international work, you may know about this, but if you're not, as an NEU member, you won't. And therefore, our job, I think, is raising that awareness with our members across the country, and getting involved in campaigns that the campaign organises. So whatever those may be, if they, if there are campaigns to write letters to MPs or, early day motions, those are the sorts of things that we could circulate and share with our members and encourage them to get behind. And maybe even, if the campaign is able to provide speakers to come out and talk to our districts and branches at their meetings about what is happening and how they can get involved.
Thank you, dear Louise. How do you understand the Kurdish question and the Kurdish people's democracy and freedom struggle, as you are a trade unions as well and in international solidarity as well? So how would you going to comment on the Kurdish democracy research and the freedom struggle?
I mean, as a trade union, we are for people to have self-determination, and the Kurdish people have a right to self-determination and to democratic and fair treatment, and that is not what is happening. When people try to speak out, we see what happens to them. So I think as a union, it's about educating our members, making sure they understand the situation, working with communities wherever they are. So, certainly in Nottingham, where I live, we have quite a big Kurdish community, making sure we're talking to them, involving them. We're talking about setting up a big event, actually a Kurdish sort of community event to raise awareness within our city about the situation for those people. And I think that's an important role as trade unions, is to educate people and to allow people's voices to be heard. And for many Kurdish people, I think they feel their voices aren't heard. They don't have democracy or rights, and we need to allow them to express that and work with them towards their own self-determination.
Thank you. Lastly, very short, very briefly, what is your message to the Kurdish people from the Medya TV, Medya Haber TV screens, very shortly?
I mean, my message, as always, to people is that as a union, we stand in solidarity with you. We are against all forms of oppression. We are against imprisonment and detainees of people. We've worked very hard with education, trade unions in Turkey, against the oppression of them and the silencing of them when they've spoken out. And we will continue to do that as a trade union.
Thank you, dear Louise Regan, National Officer of the NEU, National Education Union, and a supporter of the Freedom for Ocalan campaign. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for your valuable comments today.
No problem. Very good to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.